Oh, it's Hearn. Look at that. Cool.
Hello.
We can call you the person who retired a 200 character.
Yeah. They
Oh,
don't mean to alarm, but they can't hear you. They can't hear you. Can you hear anyone?
were we all
When
muted?
you guys, okay, now you can hear me probably. It just, I hate Streamlabs sometimes. What it did is when my computer had some updates recently, it decided that it was going to set to a random microphone that is not actually on my computer. It doesn't exist. So yay, technology.
So now you have to do your elaborate intro all over again.
Fuck's sake.
Yep.
Yes,
You have to do
you
it
do.
again. Yep. Here we go.
Fuck's sake. Okay. So, as I said to the other three people that are here, and you guys did not hear, welcome to the Grey Accords. We have our wonderful ICTINUS. Yay. There was rejoicing. And then we have the usuals of Rasani and Whirran. And you guys can call me the person that retired a level 200 person. I think that's what we established, right?
That
Yeah.
is your most important
Yes.
title at this juncture.
with genuine pain in Wirren's voice saying
Yes.
it.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, genuine pain.
We could dramatic it up a little bit and call you the late Lady Sapphire.
Oh.
Lady Sapphire. Rip.
Rip, rip. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that'll do.
yeah, that's
Blessed
a
be
pretty
her
good one.
name. Last of her name, in fact.
Nah, yeah, last of her name.
First and last of her name.
Yeah.
First and last of her name, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she wasn't the first Lady Sapphire.
No, yeah, because I ate. My character ate the other Lady Sapphire,
Oh,
who was in love with a Norian. So good times, good times.
okay. Well then,
Yeah, that's a whole story.
good for her. Good for her. She knows what she's after.
She knows what she's after. Exactly. Right. Right. Anyway, so that's our intro, and I want to make sure we make the most out of the usual next 2 hours that we have. So I figure we can just hop right into it. But I did want to provide a moment for ICTINUS to kind of introduce himself and provide a little bit of background of where he came from before he was with us for the last year.
I know. I'm on the spot now. Well, I've almost been here a year now, 2 days, and it's officially 1 year. Before that, in case people don't know, I was the co-producer of Achaea for 4.5 years. Before that, I was a lead admin on Avalon, which is unfortunately now pretty much deceased mud. And I've been in the text game community for about 15 years.
Okay. Well,
As you can probably tell from my voice, I'm from the UK, where we're currently experiencing a horrific heat wave. And yeah, that's about it.
okay. Well, and Nadu says Ikti sounds exactly like I expected, and that's true. That's true.
Is it? Is my voice living up to expectations?
It is. And really? Yeah, and the Brits have never heard of air conditioning before. That was you can go hit Ted.
He's right though.
He is right. I know. I was always found that very confusing when I was talking to my British friends. I'm like, you don't really have air conditioning, but you all don't really have that much heat usually either. But it's been worse lately, obviously.
Yeah, it's been pretty terrible.
Unbearable. Welcome to what it feels like in my state constantly. Haha. Okay.
Okay.
Well, okay. Awkward introduction time done because that was mostly me being awkward, and that's something you guys missed out. We were having a conversation, the three or four of us earlier, about how awkward I am. So it's just going to be a thing today. I apologize, but I do want to go ahead and hop into our questions. And definitely Rasani and Whirran will have some of their own, but I've got a list that came in from you all that I want to try to get through. So I'm going to start off with the one I felt was probably the most important after you doing your introduction here is what event slash project slash incident slash point, it's like a couple of different options here, in time in your tenure helped you breathe a sigh of relief or affirm that you made the right choice in moving to Aetolia as opposed to staying in Achaea?
That's a pretty good one.
This is a good one to start with. I've actually been thinking about this a lot lately. Like I was trying to kind of pinpoint a specific moment in time where I felt like I'd transitioned and was comfortable and happy and not putting out fires every day. And it's kind of hard. Like I don't think there's really any one moment where I thought that like now I feel comfortable. It's just a sort of slow, gradual thing over time, which I know is not a very exciting answer, but that's the truth.
Rasani or Whirran, you have anything on top of that?
I mean, I think it's interesting because for you, I imagine it had to be as you said, it's like sort of a gradual thing. It was probably within the first week that everybody in Aetolia was like, "Oh, thank fucking God!" Like something, anything is happening. So it's pretty funny and good to hear that through the course of some time gotten to a point where you're like, ah, yes, this is my new domain, and I feel good and comfortable here. Because for us, I mean, given just the way that the game has boomed since you joined us, like it was clearly a great thing for the community at large.
I agree. Like, it wasn't even, I am still not a hater of some of the previous development that's happened, but it has been a huge wave of difference, and you have really impressed me with just everything that you've been doing, and you've been multitasking very, very well. That's a good way to put it. Very, just simply, very well.
Well, I have a good team, so I can't really take too much credit. But
True.
thanks.
That is true. Okay. Whirran, did you have any thoughts here?
I think Rasani covered what I was going to cover, so I'm happy with that.
Okay. Cool. Well, let's keep on a roll here with the questions that have been asked. So we have you found something in Aetolia that you didn't know existed that completely just blew your mind? And if so, what was it?
Well, I'm glad that Ted is in the chat because the first thing that comes to mind with this is just the sheer amount of like mini games and activities that exist in the game. Bug Rush, Farkle, there's a massive list, and that completely blew my mind because Achaea does have some of it, but not to the same sort of scale, or even like things like the Bug Rush UI are just unheard of in Achaea.
This isn't even to mention that every time something happens with Bloodlock, Ted is like, "Hold my beer. I'm gonna make another mini game."
Yeah, exactly.
Ted is the god of mini
And that's
games.
kind of a running theme through my transition to Aetolia as well. The fact that there's so many coded systems for things that in Achaea you have to do by hand, which makes my life so much easier than I was expecting it to be, and probably the number one thing that made it relatively smooth. Not having to learn a lot of hacky ways of fixing things or whatnot.
I'm sure there's still some kludgy ass ways to have to put things together, though.
Yeah, there's always things that nobody wants to look at,
Yeah.
but not too many of them.
That's good, at least. And I will compliment Ted on that, even though he's an annoying person that I don't like whatsoever. He is the master of mini games and spends way too much time on making mini games. I'm sorry, Ted. I'm just gonna be blunt here.
Now we have to ask though, what is one of the things that the Aetolia team does not want to look at ever?
Yeah.
The Ivio Fiedu quests.
Oh God. I have tried before too. Those things are such a living nightmare.
Puzzle Cube as well. Ted says in the chat that's definitely true. We've been passing the buck on who's going to fix the Puzzle Cube for a year now.
anything else? Anyone from the chat want to mention if they have an opinion there? Because I know there might be a few Seleni in there. Maybe. I'm just curious.
I'm trying to think of any other stuff, but honestly, the streamlining of systems and things in Aetolia is just amazing.
Well, that's good. Fishing. Yeah, fishing, I would say, was another one that the coding to it needed some work.
Every time somebody messages me about fishing, they always include a note saying, "I hear Raz loves fishing." So I'm guessing this is a meme.
It is very much a meme of him and fishing. Same thing with chickens, with cooking chickens, but that's I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I
you've
know
heard that
about
one.
I know about the chicken.
I found that recently again, the log of the chat of that in the picture, because I was trying to find something else, and I'm like, oh yeah, and I thought about sending it to you so you could actually see the chat log, but I'm like, you know what? Probably have seen it by now.
What happened with chickens?
There was back in the day a moment where Raz decided to microwave a chicken to cook it. I don't have all the specifics, but he's just trying to ask for tips and advice and make sure it looks like it's done and stuff, and it looks very horrible.
Raz, honey, to microwave a chicken.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very disappointed in Raz right now.
He tried his best. That's right.
He didn't, because he put it in a microwave.
That's still trying your best. It's a cooking.
It is not.
It is a cooking apparatus. That is what it is for.
It is not. It is trying the minimum. It is not trying your best.
He tried his best. Yes, Bull. I agree. He tried his best. I'm going to stand on my little hill here and defend Razmil on it and just say he tried his best.
Look, Raz is awesome, but this was not his most radical moment, okay?
Oh, no, it wasn't his most radical moment. It was his most
Everyone has
one.
their personal strengths and weaknesses. If you want Raz to feature creep the shit out of something for you, he's the best man.
He will do it, yes.
Cooking chickens,
but
maybe
don't
not
ask him
his
to
forte.
cook you a chicken.
Yeah, don't ask him to cook, period. I mean, that's just... Well, maybe he's made improvements since. It was years ago, but yeah, I don't trust it. I wouldn't trust his food. I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, let's see. Let's keep rolling. So, let's see. What's an aspect of the game that you think is underrated and deserves more attention from players?
I'd probably say the game lore in general. I think, especially in the midst of giant events, there's a lot of callbacks to past stories, past RP, and just generally past events in general that I think would click into place for people a lot better if there was just kind of a bigger interest in pursuing the lore. But I know that's a bit of a catch-22 because it's a bit of a mess to catch up on. There's hundreds of events posts, but that would probably be if you were trying to, if you asked me specifically what I would like to see people talk about more, it would probably be the game lore.
I was going to say, and that's a hint there about the Jinn prophecy, right?
Yes, exactly. You can figure out almost all of the prophecy if you know your events posts and you know your org history and that sort of thing.
I tried. I definitely took your advice when you gave me some hints the other day, and I tried to look through there. I'm like, oh gosh, this is way too many posts.
I will say, when you were talking about it on the stream either last time or the time before when Tetchta was here, some people made some correct, educated guesses.
Ooh. Now people need to go back and listen to the last podcast and figure out what might have been accurate.
The podcast was a mess. Don't go back there.
Whirran and I seem to live under the under himbo rules.
And what are those? Because
What are
I'm
these
not
rules?
a himbo.
These rules are that we just reading. Nah, we're just gonna do it.
I've actually been. I went back and started reading the event post from events post 100 or something.
Wow, I do not have the attention span. Is my biggest issue.
I started doing that, and my first question was, "What the fuck is a Karathrim?" I was like, why is it beating all of the gods' ass collectively? What is happening?
Collectively kicking their shit in.
I was like, is this an Albedi god? Then they killed it. I'm like, oh, it's not. It's just
Yeah,
okay.
because we haven't killed any of those yet.
It's a
Yeah.
majestic beast, exactly. Like it's basically a kraken of a sort and just more powerful and awesome. It's a wonderful, majestic beast. I love the
That's
Karathan.
the event with the catapults, correct?
I
Yeah.
believe so. Yes, it's been
Yeah,
forever.
the catapults. Yeah.
I believe that was the first time poor Rulin got pulled out of retirement.
I actually remembered
Poor
that name
Rulin.
because I met Rulin at like the what was that ship? The ship, the Dawnbreaker? Was that it?
Yeah, the Dawnbreaker.
I met him at that, and I recognized the name. I was like, oh, this guy is like old.
Rulin is the only reason Anorian is still standing at all.
I thought
It's
they
true
pulled him out of
facts.
retirement for that ship, but no, he's been pulled out of retirement for like hundreds of years now.
For hundreds of years, he and his poor husband. It's just like, and poor Rulin. Right now, we've got him fixing a laser. It's just poor guy can't get any rest.
I tried to retire in like 243.
It's because he's the smart and I. It's funny. The only tension there had been between me and Spirians at the arch back when everybody was standing there was Rasani going, "Yeah, Rulin Glintspear is the smartest man who's ever lived," and everybody being like offended because they're Spirians, right? They're like science and whatever.
Yeah.
So they were like, "Excuse me," and I was like, "No, I'm sorry. Rulin's the smartest man alive. Like, I don't make the rules."
I mean, I haven't actually in all of my years. I haven't interacted with Rulin, so I don't know if
He
he's the smallest
rules.
person.
I don't think people interact with Rulin. I think Rulin interacts with them.
He's like a grumpy dwarf, like the epitome.
That sounds accurate.
He's awesome. He's grumpy. There's a gold statue of him at the landward gate.
Is there?
Yeah,
I might have to go.
we have a
look
gold
later.
statue of Rulin Glintspear.
Excellent.
It's awesome.
Excellent. That's what I'm picturing. Rowan over there. It's just like rubbing his head, doing a Burns over there. Excellent. He's gonna steal the
Yeah.
statue.
I want that statue now, just like the bell.
Well, Whirran's history with successful heists is not encouraging.
I'm just building up a reputation of failure so that I can succeed.
So that
in
you can,
true grand fashion.
you know.
I have the hat for it now, so
You have a hat for that now.
yeah, Whirran has a fancy hat now. He's truly a bandit at this point with his plumed hat.
I was gonna say, how many hats does Whirran have? This is gonna be a completely unrelated question, but I want to know.
Only one. He only has one, and it's an artifact hat.
It's an artifact hat too.
I put my gem of cloaking on it so that it will never decay.
I mean, I can't say that I haven't put it on different things either.
Yes.
Okay.
Good God.
It's like you guys can't see me over here, but I have actually, someone's sending me a bunch of images all of a sudden to add to the queue. So we have some things about the Karathim. So, well, we'll end up getting some images of the Karathim at some point. Thank you, Tiani.
Yeah, there was some really good art from Tiani during the anniversary last year about it, so
Yeah.
good to show that off.
Yeah, so I've added a lot of that over to the queue. It'll get there eventually. Like, it's a completely randomized thing. I should fix that later. But
It started making a lot more sense why, because I've done a few survivors, and we always have to fight Thrym,
yeah.
and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you got your little mind control buggies that get on your head and suck your brains. It's beautiful. I love the Thrym.
Sadly,
I know.
Karok talked me out of the Survivor Thrym actually doing the mind control.
Why? Why?
Would've
That
been
would
fun.
make it even more hilarious.
It would have been great.
It would
Would
have
have been good because everyone stands in like one room.
Yeah.
Everyone forms like tether rooms, and then we just sit in them. I want people to get like mind controlled and start killing each other.
They should make it make one that's a collapse with the Thrym, with the mind control, and you all end up getting stuck in one room together, and you're all basically just
a
kind of
brawl.
fucked. You're kind of fucked, basically.
Yeah, that would be excellent.
It would be. So there's some new ideas there, and ignore Kiki. Kiki is wrong on this. You should make them do the mind control.
I actually remember Thrym from when I was a brand new player in like 2010 or something, and being horrified that I was mind controlled and somebody having to come and get me out.
Well, they don't have to really get you out. You could always enjoy it until, you just happen to run into fire.
Right.
So I would have just let it happen.
Yeah. Just let it be.
I'm controlled by the enemy now. All right.
Exactly. Just embrace that you are controlled by someone else. It's okay. It's perfectly.
We now know what's going to happen if Whirran becomes Shadowbound. I'll just go with it. I'll just do it.
Just embrace it.
I'm Shadowbound now.
You have to kill your dad then.
Oh, you
I
would.
I would be Shadowbound. I wouldn't care.
Yeah,
I suppose that's true.
That's true. You would regret it afterwards, though. You would regret the consequences of whatever happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So
Nah.
let's move on. I don't think I asked this one, so I'm going to go ahead and ask it. And if I asked it, I am so sorry. What's a preconceived notion you had about Aetolia before you accepted the job that's now been proven false? We'll also want to know what has been proven true as far as the preconceived notions.
The false one is easy, and it's probably what I've already said about how easy it was to transition in terms of like admin tools and just understanding how the boilerplate of the game works. I was really intimidated about the idea of having to learn so many new systems and so many new ways of doing things, but that was much easier than I expected it to be. So that's probably the false one. Preconceived notion that was true. Well, obviously that vampires are the problem with Aetolia.
Oh, damn, you had to go there. Damn.
Can confirm.
Oof.
Can confirm.
That was a joke. I don't actually hate vampires.
I don't know. I feel like I need to selectively keep this recording and just snip that part and say, he said it. Listen, guys, he said it. You're the problem.
There's only one good vampire, and it's Aparash.
I wouldn't even say Aparash is that good. I'm sorry. He's just a twink that has some mommy issues that need to be resolved.
Aparash is my favorite vampire of all time. I would let him sire me. I'm just saying.
Can he even sire anymore? I don't think he technically can.
I mean,
He stripped himself from the bloodline. So yeah, go find out.
Find out.
Yeah, just ask him.
Find out in game.
Yeah, I will find out in game by begging repeatedly.
Just get on your knees and say, "Daddy, Daddy, please." That's wrong with me. I'm sorry.
That's fine. It's already out in the ether, so there's no taking it back.
Exactly. It's already out there. Anything that we say today is going to end up being, it's going to be clipped. It's going to be fine. It's fine. This is fine. I need my little fire and, dog and fire emoji right here that I love to use at work. That is my daily life. Okay. Well,
No, I do not hate vampires. The thing that I would probably say, like a preconception that I thought was true, I thought it would be difficult to run like conflict-related events, and I think that's proven to be true. I can talk a lot more on that subject if you like.
Sure.
Well, I don't know why I had this preconception exactly. I think if I was being brutal, it would probably be that I thought the previous producer was a little bit gun-shy about causing trouble. But I would say that I think that I was right about that. I think people do tend to jump to conclusions a lot about PK and, emotions run wild, webs blow up, and you all know what it's like. Somebody gets PK'd and web is outraged, and then it turns into a giant snowball. And I'd like, I don't know what I was going to say there actually. I think it also applies somewhat to like larger scale events and things. I think people could very often feel a lot better if they took a step back and just looked at things from a bigger picture now and then.
Yeah.
Because not every combat situation is going to be in your favor, but not every combat situation is going to be against you. Things are going to go back and forth, and that obviously applies in like the current event as well, where at any given moment, if somebody's losing a fight, somebody else is winning one.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got to be that way, because without to win something, somebody's got to lose, right? That's just how things work.
Yeah.
And nobody likes losing, and everybody likes winning, but you can't have one without the other.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. That's probably something I've experienced the worst in this game, is that people just, and this is just a general thing in all games, and even in, any sort of setting outside of, just your own little bubble, is that people don't take a moment to step back and think about what's happened, what's going on, and, is it fair for you to react that way? People definitely need to kind of smoke and, and drink a drink and take a little breather, calm down for a minute, and then, usually reality sets in and people are in a better spot. But
Yeah, I will say I do think it's gotten a lot better. I think people are a lot more chill now than when, and I think that's just a case of it needing to be more common and accepted that there are going to be conflict events. You are going to be in contention with other players instead of it just being a one-off.
yeah.
Yes, yeah.
If I could put in something here that I think has really helped and that I think people need to consider more often in conflict is that every org in Aetolia essentially has something that even if they lose, it doesn't. I don't want to say it doesn't matter because losing is like just as important as winning in a lot of ways. But like the Earth, we persist. Enorian, until the dawn, we are the light. Like for Bumathis, it's like we hold the line. It's just, it's like even if we lose, we come back and we take that loss, and you have an org-centered thing to say, yeah, we took this one on the chin, but like, we're still here and still doing our thing. Like that's what we do. We come back and we do it again.
That's that is sort of how Inorian right now is taking the Severn situation. Because from pretty much the only people who were into it were Spines Reach. But like it's a pretty big L to have to look at your war strategically and go, I guess I have to let this fucking asshole that I hate go.
Yeah.
And then so it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, people are we had some folks who were like getting pretty frustrated that like, oh, people are going to be snide about this forever now. And it's like, who cares? One, if you're an Anorian, you don't have to give a good goddamn what anybody in Bloodlock thinks of you.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, you should want them to think very little of you because they think highly of things that you find morally reprehensible.
Yeah.
So, like, who gives a shit? But it definitely, like, you have to be able to go, even if I'm getting all this this heat about this decision, as long as you followed the role play that you are following, and are still striving towards your goal, then it doesn't particularly, uh, you know, you can keep going even if you take an L.
Yeah.
That
Right.
said,
Yeah.
please don't blow up an Orion again.
Well, along those same lines, I want to agree because it is pretty common for people to worry like, oh, the other side's gonna hold this against us forever. Like that's a common kind of thing. Like this gives them a point to use against us, and it's like, you know, we're all opposed to each other, and I don't see that the orgs changing that anytime soon. So no matter who wins or who loses, like we're all gonna talk shit to each other regardless, really.
Yeah.
So it's not like giving them a point. Like you can make points all day long. There's event post after event post you could hold against people at this point. It's just like talking your enemies talking shit about you shouldn't be something that negatively illuminates a event outcome for you.
Yeah. And I
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, if anything, I think having more fuel to vary the shouts up a bit is actually a good thing.
Yeah,
Agreed.
you should want something to fuel your passion, and even if it's annoying passion, the shouts. I'm throwing a ball there, sorry, but yeah, even if it's throwing that kind of tension there, it's still good to have tension. It's better than not having tension, right?
Right. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think, like I posted recently when I wrote that announce about conflict events, if there was no tension and no conflict, everything would be really boring, in my opinion.
I agree.
we have proof of that.
We
had
do.
no events, no tension for a couple of years, and the game started to die. So like we have proof that tension is what's needed. I do think that My advice to anybody getting really super tilted, anytime I find myself getting like tilted, it's always because I need to eat something. It
You're
is
just
almost
hangry.
it is. It'll almost 100%. I will be like really tilted, and then I'll go get a snack. And I'll come back, and I'm like, why was I angry about any of this?
Just go
The
get
only
yourself a Snickers. That's what you need to do.
I think I've only gotten like super tilted at like actual Aetolia things one time, and I'm gonna be full honest. It was at Techta, and I told him, and then I QQ'd for like 6 hours and came back, and I was like, yeah, I'm not really mad anymore. Like that's the best way to handle these things, I think. And yes, it was fully at Tet, and that explains our relationship. That like 6 hours later, I was completely fine.
No,
Yeah. I
everyone has that one. I think for a lot of people, Eosid is that one where they'll get really pissed at something he did, and then they have to go away for a bit, and they'll come back a little less pissed.
Whereas Isid fills my heart with joy. Isid is my spirit animal.
You don't have to be allies with him.
yeah.
That's a good point. He's very good at being an antagonist on all sides.
Can you
On all
imagine-
sides. It's
Can
a
you
skill.
imagine if we were allies, though? Like, what kind
Oh.
of disaster that would be?
Our Aetolia's new enemy wouldn't be the Elvedi, it would be you two.
It would. Just straight up. You guys would be just public enemy number 1. We would just be chasing
We'd have to
you all
destroy
around.
that trumpet. We'd have to break every instrument in Eosid's little bag of holding. We'd have to fuck that shit up. We would never get to sleep again.
Yeah. I do want to point out something Tiani said in chat, and I do have to agree with it. There are times when people who act antagonistic need to take a small step back too. It can be a bit over the top at times. Even if it makes sense for your character, you don't always have to push the limits. And I do think there is that thin line between being able to help, push a story and push your character's narrative and everything, and needing to step back and say, is this really worth the pain in the ass that I'm causing, or the frustration and no, just frustration that I'm causing for the other end? Or should I just take a step back and, maybe do something a little bit lighter, a little bit less heavy? And it is a very difficult balance, but it does need a check sometimes. Sometimes people do go a little too far. I'm all for chaos, but I do think sometimes it's just like, did you really have to do it that bad?
I do think most people are reasonably good at knowing where that line is, or at worst, I think the community has become really good at self-policing as well. When somebody's like really going overboard, they
Yeah.
do tend to, turn on their own a bit and say, "Dude, you need to shut up for a while."
We actually when Bloodlock got their mutilating slaves event ? When they could bring them to the altars and like that, and Orion fought with them for a while, and we eventually in Web were like, this is a brand new thing, we should just leave it alone so that they can do it.
Yeah.
Because realistically, we would probably still be fighting about it. Like,
Yeah.
if we followed exactly what our characters would be doing, we would still be fighting with Bloodlock over it.
Yeah.
But because it was a new thing and we kind of have to go, it wouldn't be cool for us to stop them from engaging with the event in this way.
Mm-hmm.
So we've just decided to deal with it after the fact.
Yeah, and I think that's how, like, when that whole thing Sabati was trying to do, and I heard about it, they were trying to, like, take down the effigy or whatever, and people started, just kept going after her. It's like, come on. At some point, you got to just let it be and handle what happens afterwards, just so that they can do their part of the event, have their little bit of fun, without having to deal with people just killing them every single time they try to do it. So I do think our community is mostly decent, mostly.
I'm not sure I'd fully agree, because I think like I get where you're both coming from, but I wouldn't fully agree, because I think there is a penchant for events to make people say, well, even if I would, object to this, I think I'll put it aside because people are eventing, and I think that's fine sometimes, but like there's a point where you're like, they're doing this really awful thing, and I'm just not doing anything about it. Like maybe I should.
Yeah.
And
I I
There's
would
there's a fine line to walk there, I
yeah.
think.
It's a
I
fine line with all of them. Yeah, Rasani, go ahead.
I would agree. However, specifically with the slave thing, right? I had several people coming at me out of character about how tilted they were, about how it was shitty that we wouldn't let them engage with their part of the event and that kind of thing.
Well,
So
see, I
like,
think that's absurd, like personally.
so yeah,
Yeah, I don't
it's
think that
it's
should really be happening at all.
No, that's absurd.
it shouldn't be, but it happened to me with there were times after where we talked with people that they mentioned, like people that I just talk with generally, where it was more of a, yeah, people were tilted for a little bit, but then we kind of got the hang of it and that sort of thing. Because I think their concern at the time was there had been some concern of metagaming, and I can understand that being a reason for frustration.
Yeah.
However, when you start to get those, or at least it's in my nature, to go, okay, I am making the game genuinely unfun for another human being. And that is a line that I personally don't want to cross. So, like, there are times where it's like, okay, you really have to, step in and do something. Um, and I definitely agree. I will say this. I think Enorian is finally getting to the place where they're willing to do it more, but there is still a lot of hesitancy because we do get a lot of non-com.
Yeah.
So there's a huge group of non-coms that are like, well, we don't want like a war or raiding or anything like that. And it's like, cool, but then what does our city stand for at all?
Yeah.
I do think there's also some I don't know if this is the same for every other city, but there is sometimes some fear to try things because we're really concerned that it isn't gonna. I don't know. I just feel like there's some things that Anorian could be trying and doing that would would make it feel more in tune with clearly the direction that like admin are encouraging.
Yeah.
So.
Well, on that subject, I hope that if ever it was going to happen, that this event shows that just the power that people have in their hands to actually make things happen.
Agreed, yes.
Not only from the macro scale, obviously, of like Durin starting the war and opening the rift and whatnot, but on the micro scale as well, like org by org, people coming to us, we want to do this, we want to do this, we want to do this, and almost all of it is like in the game within days, or in some cases things take a lot longer. And I know that there's some frustrations there sometimes, but that's just a case of resources, really. We can only put out so much at a time. But
Absolutely, yeah.
the amount of power people have, I think, is really understated. If you come to us and you want to do something and it's not majorly law breaking or literally impossible, then we'd at least consider it.
And I do
And I
think
think
that's
that's been shown a lot. Like so much of the mechanics that are now in the game for this event have come about just because people have come to an NPC or submitted an org rec or even just messaged me saying, we're sort of thinking about this, what do you think? And a lot of it is there now to play with.
I do think that in particular, I do think Inorian is suffering from a little bit, like not reaching out and trying to make things happen.
yeah.
So I'm hoping that hearing that from you will change the perspective of like, oh, maybe it is worth it to try this thing. I it's a little bit too playing close. Like I get in a war like this playing everything really close to the chest. But sometimes you just have to try some wild shit and see what works.
Yeah,
That's
and I mean,
yeah.
I completely understand that. I know some people have made suggestions that either haven't gone anywhere or they haven't gotten a response yet. I can promise you it's not because we don't want to do it or we are not interested or we hate you or anything like that. Purely to resources.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. You guys are a small team doing like a million things.
Exactly. And that was going to be a question for later, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it now before we probably go ahead and switch topics and try to get back into some of the questions people have posed. is I just wanted to throw out there, do you think you'll end up doing another Seleni call this year with how busy you guys are to get a little bit more help?
I'm not sure yet. I've been thinking about it, so it's possible.
Okay.
But it can be, well, for some of you that have done it before, it would probably be like a relatively simple transition back into it. But for anyone that hasn't done it before, coming in during this sort of environment is probably insane.
Yeah. I would say the same. Like, if you've done it before, it's one thing. If you haven't done it before, you're going to see a lot of shit just happening on the fly, and it's going to be interesting. But
I posted the GIF in the Discord the other day of Gromit laying the train track while the train is coming. And that is literally us for the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's a better description than I was gonna make. So yeah, that's it. That's exactly what you're gonna be coming into, guys. So just keep that in mind. If it comes around, be prepared.
This is just
Literally, before
Oh,
all
Rasani
this,
goes.
I would have loved to have tried being a Seleni, but now I'm having a lot of fun again on Rasani. So I don't know, maybe one day, but not right now.
It's just a friendly reminder. Make sure that you are esteeming your friendly neighborhood Solani for all that they're doing.
Yes.
I try and esteem the pools or specific Solani, like, whenever something happens, because it's been awesome.
Yes, please remember to esteem. Please remember to vote if you've not voted. That would
Yeah,
be
we're
good.
in second place right now, I believe.
Think so. Yeah, because when I voted earlier,
Because because number one is rigged. There's no way it isn't.
Yeah, we're not gonna get into that one.
I'm sorry, I just can't believe that many people are playing a wolf mud.
Yeah, number one is definitely out of reach. I can confirm that. But I can also say that even just being number two does make a noticeable difference.
Yeah.
Well, hey, there we go.
I have access to obviously all the data and how many newbies are being made every day and whatnot. And there's a marked difference when we're number two compared to like 3, 4, and below.
Inorian has gotten a lot of newbies lately. It's very exciting.
We've been getting a lot of newbies too, yeah.
Hell yeah. It's
A lot of newbie vampires though. SMH. I don't know.
God.
What do you
been getting
mean?
a
I
lot
love
of Tide
vampires.
Sage.
Yeah, Icky loves vampires, obviously.
We've been getting a ton of Tide Sage newbies. I think people are really, really
Tide
excited
Sage is
about that
badass. I
class.
want to be a Tide
Tide
Sage.
Sage is so you just have to repent.
Jesus.
Okay.
We're getting deep.
Okay, now shifting gears away from repenting. Let's go.
Templar, what do you
Rasani
want?
teaching me about the Lord.
Oh
Yes.
God. Let's just move on here. So back to Icti. What do you enjoy most about working with Aetolia? Or what is your favorite part of your daily work?
Well, I mean, there's only one answer really. Like, I absolutely love running events, even though it's exhausting and insane and crazy. It's the best part of the job by far, and I've said that for multiple years now, ever since my time on Ikea.
Well, that was an easy one to answer. I thought that might take you longer. Okay. What is the hardest part then about working with Aetolia, or what's been more taxing on you besides obviously?
He already said this, dealing with Techta.
Well, is that the
That's
only?
obvious.
I mean, that's not daily work though, unless Techta is really worse than I thought he was.
I mean,
Daily
dealing
work
with
for me.
Tech's just pretty high up on the list, but it's probably not number one. I mean, honestly, probably trying to keep up with everything, especially during times like this. Like, it's so easy to forget something, and then days later, oh, I was supposed to respond to this letter, or I was supposed to finish this, that sort of thing. We are pretty well organized, but some stuff does slip through the cracks. So that's probably the honest answer, just keeping up with all the crazy. And also trying to do, because we've obviously got to keep the lights on as well as we go through. So we've still got to do promos, we've still got to do all the issues and customizations and whatnot. So just keeping everything churning during a crazy time is probably the hardest part.
Yeah, that I can't even imagine trying to do all this event stuff and then also trying to still do all of the general admin tasks and the paid for features. That's way too much shit. So more power to you. I will say that. You do a
Well,
good
you
job.
know from personal experience, me trying to get through your house requests and stuff while apologizing for how long I've taken to respond.
Well, hey, luckily I retired, so you have that off your list anyway.
Oh, that's true.
Everyone helping you out.
Yeah, that's all I was doing. I was trying to take that weight off your shoulders. That's totally what this is all about.
Oh,
She was
So-
avoiding the tapirs is what she was doing.
Yep. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have here? So we have, what do you feel has been your biggest success since starting out?
I think this is a tricky one,
Mhm.
especially since like so much of what we do is a team effort. Probably miraculously somehow staying on schedule.
That is a miracle. I will agree there. Like, you guys have been doing so much. I don't know how you're staying on schedule of like the additional classes and everything else, and still doing what you're doing.
Yeah, staying on schedule like is probably like a personal achievement, just managing to get through everything. But also, like I'm really happy with how the story is unfolding now and how the atmosphere feels in the game.
yeah, it has been good.
It really has been, and that is actually a question that's on here: is have you been happy with your reception from the player base overall?
Yeah, I couldn't ask for better, really.
Good. Well, then we're at least making you somewhat happy, except for Tetcha. All right.
Yes, of course, except for Touchstone.
Let's see. Here we go. In the past year, what has been the most surprising or unexpected thing that has happened? And if you say the whole thing with Duran, I will rejoice inside, but you don't have to.
I mean, there's no other answer really, is there? This was completely unplanned. Like we obviously saw like the prayer to Varian, and we had some idea that something might be going on, and then you guys pulled the trigger, and now we're here, however many weeks later, still
It's
going.
it's been a while.
I'm so proud that you prayed to
Like,
Varian.
so much like there was
I'm
kind
not.
of like idle discussion, like what do we do if Duran wins and the gate is unmanned, that sort of thing, but no real plan at all.
Yeah,
So it has to be that really.
yeah. It's like when I was talking to the other people in Duran, like the other leaders, and they're like, "So what are we doing afterwards?" I gave them a list of ideas I already had, but no one else had any real plans of what do we do once we win. Like, what are we gonna do with this place? But you guys helped, and it's been fun. It's been fun. But I'm glad that is the unexpected thing. I am proud of people for my being part of what we ended up putting on your plate. Not proud though that is working you to death. I'm sorry.
No, I'm having a great time. I think we all are. Like everyone is excited to log in and work on whatever insanity is happening next. And we have tried to make like a vague plan, but we keep throwing it out.
Yeah, it's like
Because
you gotta make several plans, and then you gotta have the one that's gonna be thrown out the window. Just
yeah,
gotta be prepared.
like we have vague ideas of like where we're going in a few steps from now, but then something else happens or somebody else has an idea, and so we're basically rewriting like constantly. But that's fun as well because like us not knowing what's going to happen is rare.
Yeah, so you guys are just having to make it up on the fly, right? Yeah. Most of it.
Yes, like some of the systems that have been released and some of the event chapters have literally been like thought up hours before. Like Cald, for example, was never supposed. Like we put the militia there just as sort of like a bit of a flavor thing, and we were going to do some RP, and then it just exploded into this huge thing, which is probably my favorite part of the event so far. Just watching like Rasani, Rajetta, Mjol, Kalina, Yaku, Isid all doing the training, and just that's such a good example of like an organic storyline that turned into a huge thing.
Yeah.
It was really, it was very, I enjoyed that it became a Saloon thing. That felt very, very fitting. And I also enjoy whoever broke my heart by having the Tanner I trained die. Very cool.
Oh, I accept no responsibility for this.
it was good, and it was a I don't know, it was definitely like it contrasts directly with what we're seeing in Three Widows right now, where people are throwing themselves to death in their minds or falling on their own swords out of despair. Like it's such a interesting twist on that particular thing. Because Called was so like, whatever, we can do it, fuck these guys.
Yeah.
And Three Widows is like, wow, this sucks shit like a lot.
It's like I'd rather die right now. That's cool. Bye, and just they
See
peace
ya.
out. See ya.
Yeah.
We're making such a light note on such a really depressing.
It's very grim, really.
It is
Given
grim.
the choice between dying to the Shadowspawn, leaving their homes, or going out on their own terms.
Yeah.
I hear Bloodlock is nice this time of year.
Yeah, sure. We can pretend that.
I let in all refugees that sign their papers with Forsapiens.
Oh boy. Okay, moving on. Alright.
Yeah, what you got?
Okay, if you could change one thing that you have done this first year or remake it to be better, what would that be?
Oh, is Ted still in the chat? I hope Ted is still in the chat for this answer.
I don't know if I've
I-
seen Ted on yet, honestly.
Oh,
No,
Ted.
Ted.
Ted and I.
Oh, Ted.
Ted,
Ted, right.
Ted.
I
Yeah.
would probably go back and revisit some of the war events from like April, May, June with the slaves and whatnot. If for no other reason than Ted and I accidentally started a formal war.
Oh, do you mean when I marched troops in there and was like, how do I attack troops? And then attacked them and somehow got blamed for starting the entire war?
Yes,
Mhm.
that is exactly what I mean. That was just a complete oversight, and I think we handled it reasonably well. I know there were some sour grapes on both sides about it, which, to be honest, was somewhat justified given the circumstances. But I'd probably go back and rethink that decision.
I
I don't
have to
know.
admit, I had no idea. Because it was just like, yeah, you can't capture slaves if there's troops now. And I was like, how do we get rid of troops? And someone in Web's like, oh, well, you have to use your own troops. I was like, all right, well, fuck it, I'll march troops in there. And then it's like, Whirran has declared war. And I'm like, oh, shit.
That was exactly what we were anticipating would happen, and it was how like Ted had set it up after talking to me and asking if it was okay, and then it was like, oh,
Whoops.
yeah.
Oopsie.
Whoopsie
The
doodle.
worst part was that it, like, I didn't know before that the news post, like, calls out who started the war. So then, like, the other Throne Keepers logged in and were like, do you have something you want to tell us? I'm like, I did a thing.
I started a war,
I started
you
a
know.
war.
I did a thing, yeah.
Yeah, so that's another example of something that blew up a lot, largely, well, partly because of that mistake, but also because of just how people reacted to it and how invested people got in it, which was good.
But
Yeah, the slave war was actually quite fun, despite being like for a little while we had no counterplay, so it was a little bit frustrating. But some of my favorite personal RP came out of that, dueling Xenia for her shackles for the week,
yeah.
so that she couldn't capture slaves, is probably one of my favorite roleplay moments ever for Rasani. It was very fitting for a Templar. It was nice.
There's been a few moments with Rasani and Xenia that have gone like that.
Oh yes.
Right? It's kind of like a sort of ongoing rivalry, which I really like.
It has been since before Xenia became this twisted sort of like spider person. We were both. I was a leader of the Templar, and she was a leader of the Carnifex. So we've had a long-standing kind of rivalry, butting heads. Whirran has sort of joined that camp of like people that I would consider rival to Rasani. But Xenia's been a long-standing one, and we've had some really, really cool moments with it.
You guys, yeah, I love listening to you and Xenia, especially if you end up getting on like voice together and just talking together about what's been going on. I love listening to it.
We've RP'd with each other for a few years now, so we're pretty comfortable in being just vicious to each other.
Yeah, you guys don't really have any lie in it, but in a good way. In a good
Yes,
way.
yeah, of course. Like if Zenny reached out to me and was like, "Hey, this made me uncomfortable," like immediately it would stop. Like,
Yeah.
you know. So,
Yeah.
but we've had a lot of fun with it.
Well, that's what's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those dynamics are really healthy because you remember them forever and they become kind of like personal and
Absolutely.
good stories.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on, we're actually making pretty decent time. We're about a little under an hour in, and we are through like 10 of the questions. So that's about halfway, a little bit less, but we're getting there. So let's see. What has been the most exciting event or release of this year? And I bet it's going to be this one. Maybe.
Well, since I've already talked a lot about this one, although that's the obvious answer,
Let's choose something else.
I did really enjoy the last big event as well with the Elders and uh, the Spears War and gaming. Gaming is amazing.
Gaming is amazing. Are you being sarcastic right now because Ted's listening, or?
No, the honestly, I think the gaming skill is like one of the biggest success stories of the year, just from how it started and how it is now. Watching Raz's excitement of adding new things to it every day,
He's
up
excited.
until literally hours before it was going to be released.
He's excited about something that's not cat girls.
Yes, he knows there shall be no cat girls.
Gaming
They're all
gaming is
over
my
the
constant
place.
temptation because I don't actually want gaming, but I want to build a house of cards. Like I have this random extreme desire to build a house of cards because that just sounds fun.
But with your
I
luck,
now
you
have
would
the
knock it down.
extreme desire to have Rasani come across you doing it and kick your house.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
Yeah.
imagine there are a lot of people that Whirran is like sitting here meticulously and they just walk by and like kick the shit out of his house of cards.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah, gaming's really underrated. If you haven't had a look at it, I highly recommend it.
I've heard it got a glow up.
It did, and I really enjoy Kurak's on-point betting books during events.
Yeah, I always vote for Sid to make it worse. I just do every time, and that if that's an option there, okay, that's where all my money's going. He's gonna make it
that's
worse.
the safest bet.
It is. It really is.
The payout on that is very low now, though.
Yeah.
Well, because everybody's betting on it. Yeah. Everybody's like, he's gonna do something.
You're gonna do something. Exactly. You gotta get that southern in there. You're gonna do something. Just don't know what. Just
I'm a northeast hick, not a southern hick.
Well, I'll cover the southern hick then. That's fine.
Perfect.
I got that covered. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have here? Ooh, this is still kind of. I don't know if we need to ask this one or not. What accomplishment are you most proud of pulling off this year? It's very similar to the rest.
Yeah, I think I've kind of touched on that as well.
Yeah.
Although something I haven't said that I think I should say, like just retrospectively looking a year ago, when I wrote my post introducing myself, one of the key things I wanted to work on was like mending the relationship between admin and the community, and I like to think I've done that pretty well.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I would.
Like I feel
agree.
fairly comfortable like hopping into the Discord, making fun of Techster, as people do, and just generally talking, answering questions. The atmosphere compared to how the atmosphere felt when I was looking at the Discord before joining, things feel a lot better. So I'm really pleased with that.
Yes, I think people are just less frustrated in general.
Mm-hmm.
So it works out in the end for.
I will
the
say
community to be.
I think people are still a bit too reluctant to come and talk to me with a problem, and they shouldn't be, because I tend to reply very quickly. I'll consider what you say.
He does, yes.
I'll give
He
you an
does.
honest answer. I might not agree with you, but at least I'll explain why if I don't.
Yeah, it's like I probably
And I
pinged you way too much.
I think that's like the shortest route to having your problem addressed in some way or another. Just send me a message.
Yep. I completely agree. And I can chime in just like Rasani and say he will absolutely do it. And you are very respectfully blunt. Like not in a bad way, but you tell the truth. You just make a point, and it's like, oh, okay, and we move on from there. Easy enough. Okay. Well, just because I want to make sure to say this now, since you were mentioning about, oh, and actually, real quick, PHA was asking what format, message, or email. I have actually Discorded him before. I don't know if that's necessarily recommended. What would be your recommendation, message or email?
The safest way is a message. If it's really long, then an email. If it's urgent, then you can Discord DM me.
I don't know. You shouldn't open yourself up to that. You're gonna get some crazies. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay. Now that I asked that, I do want to make sure to make a comment on something. This is actually one of the things that came in that was just a comment and wasn't actually a question, but it goes back to the community. And I do think that you've definitely made strides in the community between the player base and the admin. But I want to make sure to point out, and this is just a blanket statement that I want, Rasani and Whirran also to kind of give their take on. But you have made it a better general relationship, or tried to, between players, in the sense that you're really have a no nonsense policy when it comes to harassment. And I want to read off this actual statement that someone provided, because I agree with it, that there have been some strongly worded posts and harsh consequences, like permabanning, regarding harassment in the game, something that was pretty much ignored by the previous producers, so what this person is saying. This means a lot to those who have had it come up, or have had to put up with some deplorable behavior, and they say thank you. And I want to say the same. I haven't luckily had to go in and really, I mean, I've obviously contacted you about a couple of things, but nothing nearly as major as I know some people have been affected by. So I do want to take a moment and just thank you and say that you have improved the community in that way as well, not just between admin and players, but player to player. And what do you guys think, Rasani and Whirran, in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, I think that goes without saying. That ICTINUS is and encouraging both through the pools and also in the player base, being kinder to each other, having a no nonsense policy for harassment.
Mm-hmm.
I know I brought a issue to ICTINUS that had been dealt with by previous admin, up just to kind of keep him up to speed, and he immediately, familiarized himself with it, and immediately, I felt like, okay, this won't be a problem again. So it's very good.
I like the posts that have been going out that basically say, like, hey, this is not how we're going to be handling the game. Like, this behavior isn't okay, and we need to shape this up. And I think sometimes people just need to hear that instead of just kind of light footing around saying it or expecting people to just police themselves.
Yeah.
It needs to be said. So.
Yeah. Do you have any comments, ICTINUS? I know that was mostly just us trying to give you a compliment there.
Well, I'm glad that people feel that way, because that was definitely the intent. I know I can come down a bit hard on people sometimes, but I think sometimes situations demand it, and no plans to alter that really. I as you said, I definitely believe in just giving it to people straight.
And you do it well and respectfully, as I keep repeating, just in case, people reach out and they're not, I don't know how to better say it, they're not used to it. But it's meant well, and you do wow, I cannot talk. You do well at communicating things, I feel like.
Better communicating than you just were?
Yes, exactly.
I was going to say.
Certainly. There we go. Okay, I'll try to get my accent in there more, just to help make sound more like a country bumpkin over here. Okay. Well, moving right on along. Now, I should actually go ahead and give a pause. Rasani or Whirran, on the vein of discussion we've had so far, did you all each individually have anything you wanted to go ahead and bring up? Because I obviously have some questions left, but the list is whittling down.
I do it, unless, Rasani can go first if you would like. I have something that I've prepared before. Okay. I just wanted to ask your thoughts, I guess, on the God Moot last night, because the God Moot actually, I'm not sure why or how, but it somehow kindled something again for me that I've been super diving into lore and just having the gods all sit down and seeing kind of the tapestry of how the gods interacted just really sparked something. Was that one of your favorite events, or how did you feel about that?
Is that a question for me or for everyone else?
Yes, for you.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed putting it together. I was mindful that it could be a bit awkward sitting in one room for an hour watching essentially a cutscene, but we tried to like fill it with as much lore and useful information as possible, and I think we hit that. Like I was very happy with how it went.
Good.
And I know I saw some good comments going out in the webs and whatnot while it was happening. I know there are fans of Dar and Yvonne out there.
Being
We're all
catty,
just
yeah.
we're just over here. Like, I had someone send me a gift that said, "Are they fucking?" Yeah, they're fucking, and it just was hilarious. The whole Ivone and Dar thing. You could just feel the tension between them. It was so romantic. And
I enjoyed everybody dunking on Whirran's dad.
yeah,
Everyone was dunking on your dad, Whirran. I'm sorry.
except for Ruin.
Well, yeah, he wasn't dunking on him.
Well, even in that context, though, there's some interesting ways that like the gods reacted to Bermathis that kind of say more than what the emo might suggest. So it's good.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, true.
Sending my dad away, heartbreaking.
Yes.
But it's fine. I'm not the oldest in the order, but I'm the one he put in charge. It's like when you have an older sibling, who's supposed to be watching you, but they're going out to hang out with their friends and like make out with somebody, and you are like 10 years old having to cook macaroni and cheese for like all your other siblings. That's what is happening right now.
That is a remarkably accurate description.
It really is. My goodness.
It is.
You like hit the nail on the head right there. Perfect.
It is. It's gonna be great. My dad trusts me, and I'm gonna make sure that everything is totally fine and not at all eaten by shadow rot. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. You got this.
It'll be totally chill. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And the comment in chat about Sliff being great, I agree. I'm a big fan of the nonchalant Sliff.
I am too.
So good.
I love it. It's so fantastic.
So good. And very just seems so unconcerned with the fact the world is ending.
I think a lot of the gods are kind of like that, though.
Well, Damario's all torn up about it, but Slife
yeah.
is just like takes a bong rip and is like ready to go.
Exactly.
Like, fuck yeah, dude. Tsunami coming to destroy Anorian, I'm just gonna surf on it, bro.
I mean,
Like-
Lex was out there with an opium pipe.
Yeah, just straight up.
She's good.
She's just sitting there straight up smoking and everything. Who else is not really seeming concerned? Chak is kind of...
Chak
But that's Chak.
is dealing with her own shit.
Yeah.
Like, Chakasol has a lot of her own issues to work out.
Yeah, that's definitely a whole thing.
And then there's Ivone. Ivone's like, we will just kick their ass.
Yeah. Then you got like Ivone who's like, I'm just gonna step on them. It's fine. This is fine.
I
love
that part. They're like, Ivone, we're concerned. He's like, the Earth will destroy them. I was just like, okay.
Like, okay, bro. We get it. You're way into, like, living closer to the ground or whatever. You're way into the mole man fantasy.
I love this guy. His answer is just...
To be fair to him, he did just have a whole mountain eat, like, 3 armies of shadow spirits.
That's true. He did have a
right
whole
before
mountain
that.
eat people.
That was the most badass end to that battlefield, because we were like, oh,
that
shit,
was
we
really
lost.
dope.
And then Ivone's just like, I'm gonna eat everything.
I
hope it helps him
go ahead.
recover after his time being locked away by his ex-husband.
Took a timeout, but now he's back and he's kicking ass.
I feel like still me personally, I think something bad is gonna come to him because of the fact that, it swallowed up all those shadow things. That can't end well. It just can't.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
It'll be great.
It'll be
Oh,
great.
good.
Exactly.
It'll be great.
Okay.
He's got it under control.
Sure. That's what he wants you to think.
I want more of him and Lex interacting.
They were adorably
Because-
hilarious together.
Well, because Yvonne is also kind of catty. And she's catty for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I would really like them to have to interact more.
Yeah, it's a rare opportunity to get so many gods together, and it's hard. Like, it was hard not to just like go crazy overboard with dialogue and how much was going on. But hopefully, we hit the right amount and the right tone.
I think you did.
Yeah, it was good.
It was good. All right. Well, did you have anything else on that, Whirran? Because then I have a few to kind of shift into that are related in a way, sort of.
Nope, that was all I had really. That was one of the best things for me recently in Aetolia. So I just wanted to ask about that.
Okay, cool. Well, speaking of things related to the game, how much have you changed previous plans from the game story development?
Not very much, actually. I spent quite a bit of time reading every single events post early on-ish. Took in almost none of it, and so I keep referring back to them constantly. But since I got brought up to speed on where the story was, and where the original plan was for it to go, we haven't really changed anything outright. We've just kept adding more things to it, which is kind of how we tend to work now. I think just add more things. It always works. And I know like most of the story has pretty much been in Raz's hands for like 10 years or something.
Yeah.
So it's a miracle how he's managed to keep it on the rails. And I know that there's like been a few years with no developments in the middle of that and whatnot, but he pretty much has the whole thing in his head, and it baffles me.
Yeah.
Anytime anyone wants to know some random obscure lore thing from 2005, ask
He's
He's
got
Raz.
it in there.
He's got it in there somewhere. I don't know how he manages it, but he does. Just barely. Just barely.
Yeah, we haven't really changed much. We have a direction in mind. Obviously, this event was completely unplanned, and will probably have some influence on the overall plans as we go forward. But there's nothing that we've talked about where I've gone, I don't want that to happen. We need to change it completely.
That's good at least. Well then, speaking of lore, this is probably your favorite question. If you could delete any piece of lore, what would it be?
I don't know if I would. I don't think there's anything specific I'd just outright remove. But on a broad scale, I wish there was more consistency with god rolls over the years. And I know that that's like kind of an impossible dream due to changing players and changing admins and changing policies. But one of the biggest challenges for new Seleni is picking up a role that's got baggage to handle.
Yeah.
To deal with, yeah.
Yeah. I feel that one. Like there was a bad case of notes not being like properly done or even done at all for such a long time. But I feel like the
We
team
have
up
some
there
new-
has it now.
We have some new policies in place now where things are a bit better about being recorded and stuff goes through official channels and whatnot. So
Yeah.
hopefully, like, we're future proofing that problem now. But that's probably the one thing I'd zero in on, that consistency. And similarly with just going back to the massive events posts that I read when I first started, I wish that some of the earlier stuff had been better documented.
Mm-hmm. I can completely agree there. I don't know about Whirran and Rasani, but I can agree.
I have not been playing for as long as you, Riran.
True.
So events posts have been a thing for like, and pretty lengthy ones. Well, there was a period of time where there weren't, but when I first joined, Raz was the producer. So events posts were long and informative and that sort of thing, and then there was just a period of time where they weren't. And I think I must have joined after gods had to have notes, because every time gods will call back on shit that I'm like, oh, I didn't think anybody would remember that, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Let me think back to fucking 2011, see if I can pull that one out of my brain.
That's definitely a two-way street as well, though. Getting something spun
Oh
on you
yeah,
by a player that you have no idea about. So
I
that's
can't
what we
even
really try to
imagine.
avoid.
I can't even imagine the shit that like gods will hear and be like, "Oh fuck, I have to go look at the documentation. You haven't logged on since 2006."
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
especially because we're getting a lot of old players back right now. And in fact, particularly in Tamariel, we're getting a lot of old players back that are coming back to like an order, for example, that is entirely different.
Yeah.
Like that is entirely different from what they went to sleep to. So that's fun.
The catching up from that kind of POV must be really brutal as well.
Oh
If
yeah.
there's ways we can improve on that, I'd be really interested in hearing them too. So obviously, I know that there's tons of announced posts and events posts and new help files and a million things to catch up on.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a great way to do it besides for like a player to take the time to go talk
Yeah, I
to a
To
person
make
and
like a
just-
wiki or something.
or
Yeah.
have a wiki that has like a summary. But even then, having a wiki with a summary is probably not as good as just like a player saying, "Hey, let's take like 15 minutes and I'll give you the highlights of the last like in-game year that matters." Because anything, but like probably past year, there's definitely some good stuff in there that needs to be known, but it's not as urgent as some of the stuff that's been in the last year that's more prevalent.
I would like to say this. I miss Achaea has a really good wiki, and I wish Aetolia had a really good wiki too.
I think Aetolia would benefit from a wiki. The unfortunate thing is that uh I feel like a wiki would very quickly become a place where people just info dumped about their own characters, and they wouldn't start putting in information that people actually need.
Yeah, that.
I just miss it because like the Achaea wiki, you can go there and like the day after skills are released, like all of the AB files are on there,
Oh, that's pretty cool.
and like for every class, and there's timelines of like this happened in this 100-year span, and stuff like that. Like the wiki was just really convenient. I miss that a lot.
The best part of the Achaea wiki, in my opinion, is that it has like a profile on basically every named NPC in the game.
It does, yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
And it has a breakdown of every area. Like it has the area help file, and then like what's in that area and what plants are in that area and stuff like that. It's really good.
It's like we have a lot, or used to have a lot of that on the wiki. It just
It's there. It's very outdated.
it's very
Yeah, and
outdated. People
it's
just don't update it.
on the Achaea wiki, I think there's like a moderator team, and people don't let you write about your own characters.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, which is like I think having like a wiki for historical events and stuff about NPCs and AB and whatever, I think character stuff should stay strictly within go learn it from the person. That's why I love hidden honors. People are like, well, I can't find out what you've done. But you know what that does do is have a newbie reach out to me and go, you're in this history book. And then that's a whole new RP avenue. Like, I'm reading this book about history and your name is in here, what the fuck? And then you get to talk to them about it. It's very cool. I think it's underrated.
But I think those kind of situations are really great as well, when somebody comes to you bright-eyed and thinks you're like a legend, because kind of in the game context, players are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But just
And
keep
not to call
retiring.
anyone out, but do you remember the Atalkes wiki page we're in?
Sigh. Yes.
I was gonna give a solution to being looked at as a legend. Just keep retiring. No one will ever know. So you don't have to play that pose.
I'm sorry. The admin were kind enough to give me the sexiest title alive, Godsmith. So I'm gonna play Rasani until I die.
That's frankly that's a little valid there. That is.
I must say I have a trumpet, so I can't retire ever.
Yeah. we both have our commitments. We're
Yeah.
stuck.
Okay, I actually have to mention this. Last night I couldn't play my trumpet at the god moot.
Oh no.
I went to play it, and it's like, you're not skilled enough. And I was like, what the shit? And I probed it, and it's like, you're 102% skilled with the trumpet. I was like, wait, what?
It was just that Mathis was like, not here, dude.
I have overcome all mortal constraints.
To be good at the trumpet.
Someone fixed it and I could play finally. I was like, yes, okay.
There you go. Now you can play the trumpet.
Now you can do
I'm
it.
very glad.
Yes, I'm happy again.
All right. Well, guys, now the rest of these questions are going to be a little bit miscellaneous. We're out of the more serious ones. So I apologize, Icty. These are all but one are going to be ones you haven't really. Well, they're mostly ones that you won't know anything about.
You got warned about one earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is one. Please don't kill me. Please don't. Level 200 classes. Wow, that was Southern. I apologize. Level 200
that
classes.
Was really Southern.
That really was. Level 200 classes seem like content that's incredibly easy to produce and don't at all detract from other plans. Would you ever consider reverting the policy or of a fixed number of them?
I don't think we will consider reversing it because, contrary to popular belief, they're not incredibly easy to put together. Not workload-wise necessarily, but in terms of like concept that fits into the game, doesn't detract from existing classes, doesn't detract from classes that we might want to introduce in the future, and it's just a snowball that would never end, and that's why we made the decision we did.
We tell them why it's funny now.
Because it isn't sustainable.
No, it's not. And if you need someone to murder later for that question, it was Brax. They made sure to tell me it was Brax specifically.
Oh, okay. I would fire Brax.
I was gonna say, can we tell them why it's funny now?
Oh. Yeah, I was trying to be serious, but I'm pretty sure that was just meant to be a joke. And
well, you got my real answer at least.
I did, and you did so well. You didn't twitch, at least not that I can see because I can't see you.
I actually wrote down in my Sublime text editor here, ask Whirran who asked that question.
Well, go get him. Go get him later. I'm sure he's not even listening right now, but it's fantastic. Let's see. So now we're going to go into... I'm just going to go into some funny ones for right now. So, will we see Karn again? Karn. K-A-A-R-N. Karn.
That is a find out in game, I'm afraid.
That's fair.
Who's that?
I don't know who asked these ones, but I can guess who asked these ones.
I'll take the next one since I stopped talking about it previously because I had thoughts on it.
Is it Dentapire?
It is the Dendara Pyre. First of all, Dendara is gone, so sorry, kids, you're out of luck.
Damn.
Yeah, how can there be a Dendara Pyre when there is not
when Dendara's gone? Like, I'm sorry,
rules.
you screwed the pooch on that one,
Oh
kids.
my god. Okay, I read that question, but the way my screen reader said, I thought it was asking like, are we gonna make a pyre for Dendara? And I was like, Dendara already became a pie. It's gone. Like,
it's gone. You guys already did that part.
Burned it. Like, I literally read that and thought, okay, all right, I'll make sense now.
Yeah, so I know who this is. Illical is asking about Dendara Pyre. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it if you're sharing any, because I know that this is probably like a, But I have many thoughts on this, and we'll state them after.
My thoughts are that I am trying not to even think about mirror classes, considering we just released 2.
That's fair.
That is fair.
My feeling is, one, you got rid of Dendara too late. And second of all, I can't think of any other mirror class that Cybe's cool ass double-bladed Manta Blade would go towards. And if you deny me that, Illical, I will PK you forever.
Wow.
Those are my thoughts.
Wow.
I want that sword.
Man, fuck.
It's so cool. You don't understand, Whirran. It's so fucking cool.
I've seen it, and I'm still. I wouldn't PK him. Wow.
I would. Well, maybe I should rephrase that. I would attempt to PK him, but he's level 200 and really good at PK. So I wouldn't do so hot, but I would try.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, I personally don't have any opinions. I do think, Dendar, yeah, it's gone. There is Dendaruis, or whatever, however you pronounce it, so that would
I'm
be
just
the
gonna
next
keep
version.
calling it Dendara. I'm
It's-
sorry.
It's
My
Dendara
only
forever.
my only comment is that Dendara was easier to spell.
Dendara was easier to spell, and also,
Yes.
what happened to Dendara Eternal?
Now it's
You just
Dendaruis.
gave it up
Now
so
they-
quick.
Now they say Denduri is eternal.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just eternal. Whatever's there is eternal. Okay.
Just whatever there is eternal. Exactly. It's life plane Lyranther, or whatever you pronounce it. Eternal.
Lyrither, I think.
Lyrithia?
Lyrither.
It sounds better coming from a British person.
See, I was made to speak that word.
You
If it
were.
was Welsh, if it was Welsh, it would be Lyrithia.
Oh wow, that actually sounds amazing in Welsh. It does. I need that. I need to pronounce it like that.
The nature of life is to end. Good job.
Bug.
So yes, like that's sort of the interesting thing, right? Is the keepers of the cycle spent countless years trying to keep Dendara from going through the cycle itself. Like, if all things have to end, then is that not just something that Dendara had to naturally go through, is death and rebirth and death and rebirth?
You should definitely have that conversation with Hen in
Yeah,
character.
I was gonna say have that in game.
He
and
already hates me, so it's like, whatever.
prepare yourself for a chokening. It'll be fine.
A
It'll be
choke slam, yeah.
A nice choke slam. Okay.
I
nice
do have to
choke
say,
slam.
I loved that post that Heron made when Inorian tried to bring Sabati to trial.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say it right now.
Oh boy.
I am devastated that people are unwilling to go through the RP of the court because it's so cool. Like, people see it as like a defeat or getting like I don't know, like, people are really unwilling to give it a try, and I wish they would, because the RP of it is really cool. It makes court logs that we then file in our library to stay there forever. It's badass. Like, I know that everybody
sounds
wants to be
cool.
some badass that fights their way out of everything, but next time you're told you're going to be put on trial for crimes against freedom and justice, maybe consider going to the Court of Truth, because it's a fucking radical toy that we never get to play with.
It sounds cool, but also that was just the most badass moment that Heron just responded. And it's like, shove your court up your ass.
Yes, that was the best
Heron has
response
no time for your shit.
He ain't got no time. He has other things going on. He's like, fuck you. and
Does
that
he?
court.
He was sleeping through the entire meeting.
I mean,
He's a sleepy
Sleeping
boy.
does not count as having other things going on,
Yeah,
as I've
He's
been
a sleepy
told.
boy. He's recovering.
he's a sleepy boy and recovering. Exactly. He got really, really tired. He needed.
He just,
The
like,
whole game is
press the moon.
babying Hearn. You know what? Hearn's a bitch, and I said it.
Oh.
He was bench pressing the moon. Okay.
I was not part of the decision to drop charges. I think it was silly, and we shouldn't have done it.
Well,
I think that it would have been cooler if we had actually gone through with the RP and done what we said we were going to do. And we could have decided that the punishment at court was not as severe as we wanted it, or whatever. But I think dropping it was a mistake.
well, I'm
Should have
gonna
killed Heron instead of Severn. There you
like
go.
I'm gonna look at a watch on my wrist here and say that's a thing that we don't have a lot of time to go into and should be talked about in game, and we'll move on so that we don't because I can't get into it either. It's I'm they made their decision, and we'll see how it goes. If it ends up changing, who knows?
I think there's a lot of stuff bubbling under the surface everywhere that a lot of people might not know about, which probably colors some perception here.
Certainly. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, want to laugh again? Man, that's
Me?
dead silence. I'm just asking all of you.
Absolutely not.
Never.
Wow, never.
Aetolia is a serious place where no fun happens.
This mud.
Is
says
it
top
another
four.
Brax question? Because if it is, I need to make another cigarette.
I I honestly don't know for sure, but there is a good chance it is. And it is why I have a dancing girl on my stream. Werecats. When?
Never.
Simple and to the point.
There is nothing to joke about with Weircats.
But.
Here's a question.
No.
Would you ever consider other were creatures?
Ooh.
Possibly. It's not off the table.
Such as were goats
No.
or were hippos
No.
I think
or were tapirs.
my favorite was Were Unicorn
Yes.
because it was so stupid.
It was.
And Zarni, I believe it was Zarni. I think it was Zarni. Zarni loved it. He wanted to keep it the whole year round.
It was Zarni and Taz, because Taz actually got art drawn of himself as a were unicorn, or at least like a unicorn or whatever. So yeah, the two of them just love that thing.
I know you want were penguins, girl. It's not happening.
I want to transform into a tapir.
I know you do.
Why?
Because they're cute.
Because tapirs are awesome. Yeah, Rasani likes tapirs.
They're cute.
Hell yeah.
They're
All right.
cute, but just of all the things you could transform into,
They're cute and might
Yes,
eat
Zarni and I
people.
did have a flex off.
you
I
guys
had
did-
both my biceps at the time, too.
Yeah, you still had the other arm before you lost
Yeah, I
it.
did.
All right, let's see. Oh, here's this is definitely I think an obvious one who asked it, but I think this is a. You know what? No, I'm going to come back to that one because it's serious. I'm going to ask another joke one. Have you managed to get a tan this summer, or have you spent most of your time out of the sun?
I am a hermit who lives indoors and fears the sun. See, this is why I love vampires.
You're one with them, yeah.
You're wrong with them, exactly.
No tan. Just staying indoors and still dying to the heat.
Just dying to the heat. Poor heat.
Poor heat.
Or heat. Yeah,
Yes,
she's like
poor
feeling
heat.
bad
Poor
for the
tennis.
heat. She's feeling bad for the heat. Oh god.
The
I wish
heat.
that
The
didn't
heat
have to
needs to
work
get
so
him.
hard.
The heat
Like-
needs to get him. I'm kidding.
A lot of people, I think, don't appreciate just how much of a national crisis it is when the temperature goes above like 25 Celsius.
Oh no, I've heard so much about it. My friends over there are just complaining because yeah, there's literally no air conditioning in most of their houses. So they're baking. I'm like, at least I've got air conditioning dealing with that and the humidity. I can't even imagine dealing
Yeah,
without it.
we're in full drought conditions now. Water regulations, crops are dying.
Yeah,
It's
that's been our
God
last
damn.
like
yeah,
5
as
to
somebody
10
said in the
years.
chat, like tarmac and pavements are literally melting.
Yeah.
Gatwick Airport runway melted, I think, and
Oh,
had to be
damn.
closed. It's crazy.
Oh, that's a question I hadn't thought of, but you know, heat wave aside, would you or would you not be up for a UK meet next summer for Aetolians?
I might be. I might go. Depends where it is and when it is.
And how hot it is.
And how hot
Yes.
it is.
It needs to be in January.
I was gonna say if I wouldn't do even if I were wanting to do a summer meet, I could not, even if it was like even if I could get over there, just because summer in general is the worst time unless you're gonna end up being in air condition for it. You really should save it for spring or for fall when the temperatures are not quite as bad usually. I know more people are free during the summer, but that weather.
Yeah, I'd be interested in going there, I think, depending on circumstances. I know IRE used to do Iron Cons, but haven't for a while now.
Yeah, I think that's just because of timing and then COVID and what have you. And Eric
Find
said,
a way to rent a castle. Yes.
yeah, Eric said,
I'll-
find a way to rent
I'll
a
pick
castle.
I'll pick up the phone and give Her Majesty a call.
I've actually wanted to go to the UK for a while. I might go over for that.
I want to go to the UK. I have a bunch. Like I keep saying, I have a bunch of friends over there. I just want to go visit them. I want to go have a pint, even though I don't drink beer, and just chill and bullshit with them because you all over there seem like such lovely people. Most of you. Most. Okay. Now, awkward transition to a serious question. Serious face. That's what I have on. You can't see it, but serious face. So, Will Dar be changed to fit the cycle theme more than the Enorian-esque justice / do the right thing themes? And I feel like this is probably not a question you can answer.
I would love to answer that, but that's a find out in game, I'm afraid.
Oh, okay. That's fair. That's fair. Another find it out in game. All right.
Is Dar really, is Dar super Enorian? I've always, like, the impression I've got is that Dar kind of does his own thing.
Dar,
Yeah.
Dar when I joined was more Enorian, than not.
Yeah.
Right now, Dar I feel like doesn't have much of an identity because he doesn't have an order really.
But whenever he shows up in events, he's basically just like, I'm Dar, I'm the king, I'm gonna do, like, that's the impression I've got.
Yeah, well, in fairness, the last time he showed up in an event, it was because we spanked you guys. So, like, he got,
True.
like, his big moment, right?
It's true.
So, like, he got to do his big spear thing. I think if it had been, like, and my understanding is that defending the spears, like, was a little bit harder than us planting them.
Yeah.
So, so it is, it's one of those things where it's like the only times he really shows up are when he's either doing this big badass thing where he gets to be the Underking, or he's, I guess, giving his chain to Hearn to lasso the moon down like we're in a shitty 1950s rom-com. So, like, it's one or the other. And this is a joke. It was cool. Don't get pissy at me about it. But we don't. Dar just doesn't have a lot of presence because he doesn't really have an order right now.
Yeah.
Like, there was this big exodus.
Yeah.
And now he just kind of is there. I think it would kind of be cool for Dar to become a god that doesn't really have an order as much as he just is.
Well, I like
he is
him,
a force
actually.
of life, and he,
I like him, actually, because he's the only god that shows up, like, as his essence, isn't he? Like, he doesn't have a shell.
He doesn't have
used to be a suit of armor.
Yeah, I like that he shows up, like, as his pure essence, basically. I think that's cool.
Yeah, he is cool.
Yeah.
We've seen quite a bit more Dar, like, over the last few weeks, I think, which is good. And
yeah.
But I agree. I know that there was, like, big justice themes, which is very sort of Enorian-esque.
Yeah.
But I can't comment on any future developments, though, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I also like he has a greyhound in his temple called Underdog. That's very good.
Sigh.
Just sigh.
That was a big sigh.
I've seen what you name your pets.
My pets are named, my pets are named things that make sense.
That
Oh yeah,
could you read us one, Whirran?
I get an alert every time somebody names a pet, by the way, in case it breaks language rules. So,
so
just putting that out there.
So ICTI knows all of my pets. My pets named Woof. My dogs that are named Woof, Arf, RRR, Snuffle, Yip, and Yap.
Okay.
It's like Whirran picked up a puppy. I was like, "What do you want your name to be?"
Oh, that's what he
and
did.
they made a noise, and that was it.
I did this whole RP thing where he sat in the kennel with each hound and was like, "What's your name?" And the dog, like, made a noise, and he's like, "Okay, that's your name."
That's very, very on brand for Whirran. That makes a lot of sense.
That's what happens when I'm left alone.
Love that. Love that for you.
All right. Well, hey guys, guess what? I only have one more question on my list.
All right.
And
let's hear it.
And this one is going to be not nearly as amazing. So I don't know why I saved it for last. I think it's just timing that saved it for last. And we'll get to some of the I think people can go ahead and start posting questions in chat, and we'll see if we can get through some of those. But how are advertising and marketing going? Someone literally asked it, so I'm asking it.
We don't really do traditional marketing,
yeah,
just because the results in the past haven't really shown that it's worth it in terms of, like, expense and effort. But we do have somebody in-house or sort of adjacent in-house doing SEO for the websites now, which has made a big noticeable difference. TMS rankings are good as well. Like I mentioned earlier, number 1, just ignore it, and 2 is basically number 1.
Very nice.
And like I said earlier as well, we've had a big uptick in the amount of new players joining the game, new characters being created, and also old players coming back. We try to keep on top of like mailers and newsletters as well, once every like 2 months or something, so it's not overwhelming. Apart-
We. Oh,
No, go
go
on.
ahead. No, you go ahead. We have
No,
another
I-
question, so if this is related to your.
Yeah, I was just going to add, just to kind of close out, that we don't really do anything traditional, but word of mouth is like a big draw, especially if you know people who play the other games. Not that I'm encouraging you recruit from the other games, but I've heard a lot of people coming over from like Listeria and Imperium and Achaea recently just to have a look,
Yeah.
which is great.
I do think that there probably should be some more social media stuff, but I don't even think Achaea and some of the others do a ton, honestly.
Achaea does a bit on Twitter, I think, now, but I'm not sure how much of an impact it actually has.
Probably not a ton.
But we could definitely be doing more there as well. I agree.
Okay. Well, I do have a couple of questions here that I'm going to go to first before we go into chat because I forgot about these. And actually, one person just pinged me it, and they are being censored, is what they're saying. So I'm going to go with that one first, and I'll go to Bull's question. Or I guess it's the question. Bug wants me to ask you to acknowledge that she's a genius and says thanks.
That's not a question.
She's
That's
not.
not a question.
She's
No.
not.
She's
No.
not.
True genius needs not acknowledgement.
Precisely. So there's your answer there, Bug. You got your answer, okay? It's a joke. Sure.
Got her.
And Bullrock wants me to ask, who is the handsomest Minotaur?
I
And
knew
why
it was
is
gonna be this
and
shit.
why is it Bullrock?
You know what? It's all Maul. Get
Did you
back.
Almal.
misspell Almal?
Yeah, Almal's better looking. That's just facts.
It is Almal. It is.
Sorry. Gotta go for those
All Maul's got
grades.
both his eyes.
Yeah. Does Bullrock not have both his eyes?
No, I'm pretty sure. I have
he's
to
got the
imagine
eye
one
patch.
was given up. I have to imagine one was given up to Chakrasol since they all do that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I don't know. Severin, he did look good in drag, at least.
Severin looked good
Oh.
in a cage at the mercy of the light. That was pretty
too.
cool.
That too.
That was pretty cool of him.
Ikti, were you going to say something about the drag?
Yeah, you mentioned earlier what law would I delete?
Would it be that?
I'd give it fair consideration.
It's fair. I'm sorry. It is fair to have to delete that.
I do, however, appreciate Bullrock's efforts at self-promotion with the recruitment posters.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a question here from the chat.
Okay.
Will deities become less tied to tethers in the future, or will the balance between spirit and shadow deities be balanced out? At the moment, it is leaning heavily spirit, is their feeling.
I agree that it's leading heavily spirit, and I can't really talk about like hard plans, though we do have plans. But I think it's become kind of clear, especially in this event, that we're trying to make everyone kind of individually great in their own right, instead of, and I know this is going to cause a bit of a stir, instead of being watered down by a forced alliance. Because I do think that's the case somewhat. When you're mechanically tied to another organization, it's very hard to be very front and center about you. So that's something that we've been addressing, and I would imagine that God RP will go along with that as things unfold.
That makes sense.
That makes sense. You guys have definitely been trying to do that wonderful push to make people feel comfortable in breaking those, boundaries that they feel like they are bound to. Like, I don't have to be friends with these guys. Not really. I can do my own thing. And I think you guys have been doing a good job of that.
Yeah, org identity was one of the things I wrote in my preview of the year posts, and I hope we've done quite well there, but we still have a lot to go.
Yeah, that's always when someone brings up something to me that they're like, but we can't do that. I'm like, it's part of defining your org. Roll with it or give suggestions, because that's what they said they were going to do this year, and you have been sticking to that. That's for sure.
And I think it's important to note as well that there is a place between like joined at the hip allies and permanent war.
Mm-hmm.
And that grey area is something that we're all like very interested in trying to pursue.
I do want to mention. I think it's funny that in this event, most of the cities are putting things aside. Like we're gonna have a huge war when this event is over, and we can like beat each other's ass without the shadow. And then Bloodlock is over here like we're gonna start all of the wars right now
Yeah.
and annoy everybody while the event is going on.
I love
I
it.
thought that was very emblematic of Bloodlock because everyone else is reasonable.
I think it's beautiful. I think
I
it's
love the
magical.
org identities that we have going on because it makes sense for the other orgs to be like, we'll finish this later. We're gonna focus on this problem.
Yeah. Oh, do you want to go on to the other one that's in chat, Rasani, or you want me to ask it?
Yeah. Months later now, how do you feel about hardcore mode and how it is used and accepted so far? Any postpartum thoughts?
I think overall it's been like a real success. It's not a hugely popular feature, and we knew it wouldn't be. It was designed to be niche and provide opportunities for RP that people might not otherwise pursue. But obviously, I can't reveal any names or anything. But we have had several established, high-profile characters that have made hardcore alts that have said like their experience has been really different and exciting, which is pretty much exactly what we hoped would happen. There's a hardcore rankings now as well, which names and shames Bloodlock as the #1 killer of hardcore characters,
Yeah,
That's a
that
good
tracks.
along with one particularly ornery Shadow Wisp by the teams. But yeah, I'd say it's been a success overall. Like we knew it would be niche, like I said, and I'm glad that the people who have participated in it have had fun. And just responding to what Wilkes did, I'm assuming. Oh yeah, that's Bull. That Nader, a hardcore character, went on a raid, which I think is great. Having the guts to go and do that and risk being permanently killed. Big fan of that.
Same. I have been tempted to try it, but I know with my bashing habits and stuff that there is a very good chance once I hit somewhere in the 80 to 90 range, I would definitely die. And during my gameplay time, I don't know that anyone would revive me. Like they wouldn't notice. So I know
I
I'm
do like
tempted.
as well, actually, on that note, like the ripple effects it has on the game when somebody permanently dies, the panic to go and res them, or in some cases the complete indifference, depending on depending on your org, or taking responsibility for malfeasance in some cases, naming no names.
Sometimes innocent ogres may get blamed for things that they didn't do.
Innocent ogres. There's no such
But
thing.
You may be blamed for things you didn't do, but the innocent is not something that I would attribute to you.
Yeah.
But all in all, I think it adds like another good string to the bow in terms of like what the game offers, and also has a good impact on the atmosphere when those things happen.
I agree. Well, looking here, we don't have any other questions. Anyone have any other questions for the chat? Or Rasani or Vervin, do you have any that you have burning that you want to ask?
Will I get to keep the Bell Forge once this is all over?
Could we even take it away?
No. I love it. It's so cool.
We haven't really thought about like how we're going to put the world back together after this
Once
ends.
it's all torn apart, yeah, that makes sense.
Assuming it does end at some point, I'm not convinced. But yeah, I would imagine it would stay around in some form.
Beautiful.
Good.
I like the idea of them becoming part of Enorian's culture, honestly. Because it does seem like such a cultural thing for the Jinn. And so much of our preparation for the war around it has centered around the safety that these bells can provide. Because, like, sure, the little ones don't do much of anything, but there's a reason Whirran wanted one. An enormous one kills Shadow Spawn within 15 fucking hexes. Like, 15 rooms it kills them. Like, it's nuts. So there's a reason he wanted one.
It'd be cool even if they don't. Like once the shadow spawn are gone, if they are gone, it would
Yeah.
be cool if Fenorian could make them, and you could still do like like I'm imagining like dawn bell prayers where like everyone is positioned around the city and has to like ring a bell simultaneously.
I
Like
would love
that just
that.
sounds awesome.
I would love any and all and any and all things from both the Jin and the Dwamvi. We are learning recently that fire and spirit are intertwined in ways that we didn't previously know. Um, which is interesting. And also when you're talking about spirit being having more gods, learning that two are intertwined in ways we can't comprehend yet is kind of a foreshadowing moment. But the bells are super cool. And I would very much like to see them, like you said, Weirin, included in some kind of prayer thing, or even like, I don't know. I think it would be. I mean, I think almost certainly it'll have to stay around because that rift or something is bells are going to have to play some part in pushing back the rot, um, or something. I don't know. Who knows? But I love it.
Okay. More questions from the chat. And this one, I do see one that's related to the topic, but we can, or like a comment or whatever, but we can come back to that. Cineme is asking, will we see a return of bardics and artisanals? There we go, I got it out. Artisans.
We did one last anniversary in October. We did one for year 500 as well. The year 500 one got almost no submissions though, which was unfortunate. At least I think I'm remembering right.
I'm pretty sure that was
moving.
the case.
Yeah, I was moving at the time. I was unable to participate, unfortunately.
So yeah, I'm willing to run them again. There's nothing against them or anything. Just the last one had almost no submissions, and so we just haven't done one since. But I probably do when, assuming this event does finish before the next Aetolia birthday on October the 7th.
Nope,
we will-
it's gonna be never ending, man. I'm sorry. Just gonna burst your bubble there. It's never gonna end.
We will we'll probably run one for the birthday or in the post-mortem after this.
Okay. Very good. Thank
I will
you.
be entering the artisan portion.
Will you be playing the trumpet?
No, I will not.
Damn it!
Let's see. Eric's was commenting. I'm trying to like read through it. Okay, that was all about the Yamvi. I think we're good there. Yeti wants to have a new one made in Lux Bell Tower as far as the bells, because the bellman had made a crack in there, so they could use a new bell, but they kind of shouldn't. They're not gonna get one, so that's
the funniest shit about that, Weirin, is Enorian was already like, it was literally clearing with the heralds. We're going to give Bloodlock bells so that we can have everybody as strong as they can be.
But nobody told me this.
And you just went for it.
I mean, if you see a bell in the mountains that's like guarded by like one person.
Well, see, this is a difference in our cities, because I'm not going to steal it because it doesn't belong to me.
Everything belongs to Bloodlock.
Oh, right. You're on the whole imperial thing. Right.
Oh boy.
It's all for the God Emperor Apparash.
Okay.
Yeah, I am imbued with divine purpose. Yeah, that thing.
Okay, look at the time.
Which works for me too.
Wow. Wow, look at that. Look at that time. Etc.
You're just mad Weirin and I are hilarious.
No, you guys are. It's fine. I'm trying to see. It looks like we're running out of actual questions. There's definitely been some comments, but there's not been any more questions.
I saw the comment about the Jin and Duamvi.
Yeah.
Help Seraph answers quite a lot of that, which might
Yeah.
be a place to start. So does the events post for Jez becoming Seraph. There's a lot of lore in both of those.
Yes, there are.
Yeah, it talks about the spirit and fire relationship somewhat.
Yeah. And all that. Oh, Tiani says, I just want to once again give a huge thanks to you, ICTINUS, for the fantastic work on the Galatian race.
Well, according to Brax, it was no effort at all.
And I want to say
But
the
thank
same
you.
for like all of these 200 races. You guys have done such a phenomenal job. You put a lot of effort, gonna punch
I'm
Brax
devastated by no Valor adherent, but I'll survive.
Yeah, I was always confused with some of the adherents when they first came out, and then they got, explained better. But I originally thought there was going to be a Valor one, so I was slightly disappointed that there ended up not being one too. But I get it. We can't have everything we want.
No, it's true.
Unfortunately, no. I think there is a reasonably good spread now, at least that the way that it's worked out with each of the cities having one, the 2 chaos options, the adherent options. It's not gonna. There's not always going to be like something hyper specific for everyone, but
Yeah.
I think there is a good
What is your
spread.
favorite 200 race?
Ethereal.
That's mine too.
It is the prettiest. I mean, I
It's mine
obviously
too.
love Astral, but yeah, it was the prettiest of them all. Are you gonna cry if I end up getting 200 again?
It depends on what class and race you want.
If you went 200 and just did Astral again, everybody would think you're insane.
They would.
And you would be.
I would be. Yeah, no, the Astral is very unique to that character and that story. So no, that is not happening again. And it is a running joke. Like everyone keeps asking me, so I'm like, would it be really that sad and unexpected for it to happen? No, not really.
Whenever 200 first came out, like when Riot first did it, the only thing that I was like, because I hate bashing, it's my least favorite part of the game, but I was like, if I could become a Dwamvi, then I would do it, and then I just became a Dwamvi without having to do all that shit. So a win-win for me, really.
I mean, the Seraph is not too far off.
It is, and it's not super far off, but it was straight up Dwamvi was what I was, because it was the most tied to Templar.
True.
And now, of course, it would be Exarch. You see all these Exarchs doing badass shit, and you're like, ooh, I'd like that.
I am just glad to be done bashing.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, well, because it sounds like hell. Everybody's like, I'm gonna get to 200, and I've never heard anyone say, I had a lot of fun bashing to 200.
I would say that I actually did, but it was a little bit hit and miss. Like I had my frustrations here and there, so I took breaks or whatever. But I like it. I like bashing. I like numbers going burr and just letting it do its thing. So it just depends on.
It doesn't keep my attention.
I hit
I'm too
192.
ADD.
I hit 192, and I was like, I think I'm gonna die before I get there.
I think I'll never make
Congratulations.
it.
You're 68% of the way.
Yeah, that is how it
Yeah.
feels when you are really doing the push. You're just like, oh
I
god.
had very supportive friends, and then other supportive friends who'd be like, "Yeah, good job. You're like, you're like 55% of the way." Thanks.
Yeah, it's like don't remind people the percentage of the way. Just don't do that to them. Just let their numbers go burr, and it'll be okay. It's like for me, it just was filler when I didn't have other things to do, and then eventually you kind of just get a bite for it, and then you just want it to be done. That's usually the phase. It's like you're like, oh, this is not so bad. I'll just let it do its thing. Oh, this is like I really want to get to the goal, and then yeah, I'm so done with this.
I would rather just make everybody listen to my religious doctrine through shouts.
I mean, that's valid. You could bash and do that at the same time. You're just going to lose some
I
willpower.
never could. I can barely keep track of shit when I'm PKing. I would never notice that Dawn had hit or something like that. I'd never notice.
You just got to have triggers. That's what you got to do. And you got to like put some randomizer in there so that when Dawn hits, it shouts between one of these choices and you'll be
If I
golden.
reach level 200, it'll be in several years from now from either PK or esteems or whatever.
I'll just start dragging you around. It's fine. It's fine.
No, I'm not. I don't bash. I'd hate it. It bores the shit out of me.
Well, I'm sorry. I tried to offer at least.
You did try to offer. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Is that a you're welcome? I don't even know if it is. I'll say it anyway.
I think it was fine.
It was fine.
It was fine.
Thank you.
It was
Thank you.
good. Yeah. Yeah, you're all good.
Well, we're not getting anything else in chat. Ikti, is there anything, since this is your platform, is there anything you want to say to your audience for your finishing up your first year?
Only that I'm glad of all the support and I hope everyone's having fun. I
Oh,
can't
certainly.
believe a year has gone by. Just it feels like I'm still brand new in a lot of ways.
It does
But
not feel like
yeah.
it's been a year yet. I have to agree. Like, it just flew by.
It did. I think that's because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
For the first time in some many years, I went away for a weekend and was like, ah, fuck, like I'm bummed to go away for a weekend because what will I miss on Aetolia? And that hasn't been the case for a very long time. So that's a
Yeah.
good sign.
Especially, I think since like from January until now, feels like it's just gone in a blur compared
Oh
to
yeah,
the
Yeah.
first few months.
absolutely.
I have to agree. I have to really agree. I have a lot of FOMO with the game, and that's probably why, even though I retired and I'm like, maybe I'll go take a break for a while, I couldn't, just because I have FOMO. I want to see what's going on. It's just such fantastic story writing going on.
Keep thinking at some point we'll probably have to slow down, but not yet, apparently.
Yeah, I'm sure. I honestly, like, when you said it was going to be a long event, I was like, yeah, okay. I expected it to be done by now because I was like, how long can they keep up this putting tracks down just as the train is about to go over them? Like, it just seems like you can't, like, and this is no, slight to any Seleni or yourself. It just seems like an amount of creative energy that's impossible to keep up forever.
Yeah, I mean it is in a lot of ways. With the last week or so has been somewhat quiet after the moon ritual. We were preparing for the gods meeting and everybody kind of taking a breath, which hopefully people appreciated to get a bit of a break themselves, because I know the pace can be really brutal, especially like if you said you've got FOMO, you don't want to miss things. So, but yeah, we're kind of back on the ball now and ready to keep rolling.
Well, good, because we're probably going to run you guys ragged. Let's just be real here.
Yeah, most likely.
Most likely.
Well, even right now, like I've just tabbed back into Mudlet just to glance and have our Seleni putting stuff together that's being rolled out soon, and yeah, there's a lot more still to come.
Very excited. Very interested to see what happens.
I am definitely excited. I am just going to be sitting over here sipping my well, I guess I'm out of rum. I'll be sipping my rum and just, hanging out, seeing what you're going to do, and it'll be fantastic. But I have to agree with everyone and just continue to preach that you and your team, you've been leading them obviously, but you and your team, you've been just doing such a fantastic job, and I am so excited to see what all you keep bringing to us. And if we as a community can do anything better, please just continue to call us out. I like that you call us out. Okay.
Yes, very much so.
Very much so. Well, hey, anything else, guys? Because I really am feeling that this is a nice place to wrap things up.
I think we hit all the points.
We did indeed.
Yeah, lots of questions. I said most of the stuff. Well, I think pretty much all of the things I wanted to say.
Okay. Well,
So
awesome.
thank you for inviting me on.
Hey, yeah, thanks for reaching out and offering to come on here. I've been waiting for this for like what, a month now, and I've just been hyping myself up that I'm glad that this did not go as crazy as I thought it might, just because of my hyperness. We all kept it pretty cool. I think Whirran might be a little bit of a fanboy though, maybe.
Excuse me.
How insulting.
Wow.
I'm deeply insulted.
You felt that right in your gut.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I felt it almost as much as when you told me to repent. The best part of this stream was just Rasani shouting, "Repent!"
Yeah. Somebody needs to clip that and not me saying that vampires are the problem.
I'm gonna clip that and put that like as when I kill somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely. I agree. Just that.
I am all for you using my voice to kill people in the name of the good Lord Damariel.
Oh yes, yes.
The good Lord Demariel, that's what we're going to call him now. Let's not just start trying to bring like that whole, Catholicism back in here.
Oh, no. I want you to understand that when Rasani is being zealous and calling him the good Lord, it is because we've gone in a full freedom fighter liberation at any cost direction. So when she says glory to the unbound Lord, what she means is I'm gonna fucking kill every slaver in the world.
And that's fair. That's fair. I was trying to
I
make a
do
joke. It was just a
appreciate
bad one.
the amount of zealous shouting in the game right now is fantastic, and
I'm having so much
I
fun with
will
it.
reaffirm my opinion that shouting is the most important form of communication in the game.
I need to point out that one of our refugee reasons is people come to Bloodlock to learn how to shout better. So I'm just gonna claim that that's all me.
It is.
It's not all me. I'm not that full of myself, but that is funny.
We don't have a ton of people in Anorian who shout. A lot of people will join in the Until the Dawn We Are the Light, but we don't have a ton of people when dawn hits shouting about how you have to like take hope in your hands and beat Shadow to death with it.
Okay.
And I really wish that there were more people joining me in that.
Rasani. It's almost
What?
dawn.
I'm not online. I'm here doing this.
You need to go get yourself online. We need that shout. We need that shout.
Welcome to the dawn. Take the light in your hands and beat Shadow to death with it.
Oh, okay. Right. So I will go ahead and do the closing out there. But yeah, ICTINUS, thank you so much for joining. And Rasani and Whirran, you guys have been fantastic co-hosts.
It was a
Appreciate you
blast.
taking the time. It was definitely.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank
Christ,
you.
how'd I miss
all.
so many news posts? I was only off for 2 hours.
Well, good luck with that. I mean, it's basically just people going, yeah, shut up. That's the usual.
All right, well,
Yeah,
I should have expected that.
pretty much. But hey guys, Tuesday, I need to go double check, but the plan is to have Duran on, or at least Sabati and some people, to talk about the ritual and what happened there. That'll be Tuesday night at 8 p.m.
Can I be on to bully Sabati about it?
That's a no.
I'm just gonna end the stream right there.
If it helps, I'm friends with Sabati.
I know. It's okay.
Okay.
It's like I know you're well meaning when you say that, so it's okay.
Oh yes.
But yeah, so Tuesday, that is the plan. I will double check, and if that's going to happen, I'll make sure to point it out on the official Discord, since I am not gonna be posting this stuff to the forums. And I'll also make sure later to post links to YouTube and everything to the official Discord streaming channel. So yeah,
It was fun, guys. I'm gonna dip out. It sounds like my groceries are being delivered, so I'm gonna go.
Oh fuck yeah!
Yeah, go
Get
run,
them
run.
groceries.
Go run. But yeah, again, thank you. Have a good week, everybody, and we'll talk to you all again soon.
Bye.
Bye.